I worked as a graphic designer for many years, catalog, and my whole entire job, the whole day long, was to airbrush people's hair to being even on both sides. Hello knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and today we're going to be talking about this young black model and what I'm calling quote-unquote coilgate and what's going on with H&M, where the model appeared in several images with her hair done in a way that raised many black eyebrows. And I'm going to show you some videos, some pictures, and some memes which will open up your eyes. So go ahead and share this video. Go grab your popcorn. Make sure that you're subscribed, and let's jump right into it. As you know, I'm Tonya TKO, and I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTko.com. I help you learn how to love yourself and one another. On this channel, we use viral topics as teachable moments in our own lives. And I've been a little reluctant to talk about this because hair is such a touchy topic in the black community, and I've seen that other bloggers have taken a stand saying that anyone who has issues with what happened or what's being shown in this picture is a texturist or hates 4C hair or even hates themselves or even are a colorist. And I've even seen people go on to talk about how anybody who criticized what's happening in this picture was quote unquote dragging the black girl. Meanwhile, I think it's an important conversation to have. I think not having the conversation is a missed opportunity to enact necessary change in an industry where black women need this change to take place. So I think it's important for us to talk about it. This is why I'm talking about it. And if there's anyone who wants to fight me, that is fine. Go ahead and put your comments below, because I'm going to gear myself up for the fight, because I think that we're being disingenuous if we're going to sit here and say that the issue that we're having with this black girl's hair is that she has 4C hair. There are many. We had a hair revolution a few years ago, and there are many, many, many beautiful hairstyles made with the 4C hair. But I think what's going on is that there are many of us who, one, don't know how to do 4C hair, 3, are a little uncomfortable with 4C hair, and 3, try to measure 4C hair against 3C, 2C, 1C, etc. And that's what I've been seeing in the conversations. People are like, oh, this young lady's hair is just in a messy ponytail like the other young ladies who were in the advertisement. Let's put the brakes on right there. First of all, Negroid hair does not go into a ponytail. Negroid hair goes into a puff. And if we look at what it is that we're seeing right here, this young lady has a struggle puff going on. Her hair is not brushed. And see, the thing is that it's not, we don't have an issue. You know what? Let me read this for you. Jamaican Sonia said, the black child's hair in the H&M photo needed proper care. The problem is not the fact that the child has 4C hair. The problem is that these white/non-black hairstylists deliberately aren't wanting to deal with the complexities of how to treat type 4 hair. And someone responded to her, Crazy Life Simple Style says, I used to model and always came with my hair done. I didn't think too much about it then, other than I was obviously doubtful that there would be anybody to do my quote-unquote difficult hair. I wanted to look good in front of the camera, just like everybody else. So I came with my hair done. Didn't think twice. In hindsight, now I realize that that's an issue. And you see, I think while we are absolving the stylists behind the scenes of really having to do their job, I think that we're doing a disservice to black girls everywhere and black women. So I want you to take a look at this video, and I want you to pay close attention to the model's hair before this quote-unquote makeover.
All we're going to do is really, really get all that hair, and we want to kind of try to focus it to one side of the head.
Oh, like a side pony,
like a side, yeah, I think, you know what you're talking about. Exactly. So like the 90s are back. It's all about like rocking the pony to the side. The more to the side it is, the better. And the other thing that's really in right now is bangs. So what we're going to do is sort of undo these curls that she has in front of her face. And like really kind of create this like bang in front of it.
Okay.
And really play with the textures of her hair. It's beautiful, and kind of embrace it, and it's all about effortless looking. So if you kind of just let these go, and you want this all to kind of connect.
You want to be high on the head though, right?
Very high on the head, as high as possible.
Okay.
And get it off your neck, so it's like, you know, when you're sweating and stuff.
Yep.
All nice and high.
Super cute.
Gorgeous,
it helps
right?
to be gorgeous,
I know.
Malia.
It's not hard when it's her.
And you see what I'm saying? So tell me, did her hair look better before or after this stylist decided that she was going to give her the quick summer updo and bangs? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what happens behind the scenes on these gigs. You have Caucasian stylists or just non-black stylists who just don't understand black girl magic and the fact that our hair defies gravity. And then you have the production coordinators in all of their Caucasian arrogance who don't understand that our skin and our hair needs specialized specialists who specializes in our tone and textures. I'm letting you know, as a person who works behind the scenes, that I can't tell you the amount of angst that I feel when somebody on the production crew is like, oh, you've got to go to hair and makeup. In fact, I just finished working on set of this black movie, and I felt the pangs on the inside when they're like, oh, you got to go to hair and makeup. And when I went to the hair and makeup trailer, there were sisters in there. There were black women who were running the hair and makeup trailer. And that's because this was a black film. And I sat down in there and I told her I wanted a smoky eye. And homegirl beat my face. She was talking about contouring. She got my lashes on right. She smoked up the eye. It wasn't as smoky as I typically like it, you know, with the dark, dark smoke. You know, when there's smoke, there's fire. It wasn't that dark. But she did it nice for the movie set. It was a welcome change than being on some of these larger productions where there are Caucasian people in there and they just don't know what it is that they're doing. And, you know, it's like you get paired up with someone who's well-meaning, but they're either ill-equipped, ignorant, or even hostile about styling you. And then after, when all is said and done, you come out looking a mess. I remember my very first time when I went to go get headshots. I realized that there was a difference when I went to get headshots the first time. And the woman was Caucasian. She went and she put this brown makeup all over my face, hiding all of the natural tones. Speaking of tones, I have yellow undertones. She covered my face in red pigmented makeup, and it was just a mess. I ended up I didn't even look like myself. I never ended up using the pictures. And then she had these bushy eyebrows on my face, and the photographer and his arrogance was like, they just wasn't really trying to hear what it is that I was saying. I went ahead and I continued with the shoot because it was too late at that point. But I never ended up paying for pictures. I only paid for the proofs. And then after I saw them and I saw that I didn't look like myself, I was just like, I shrugged my shoulders to it and I kept moving in the wind. And I know that it makes a difference. Having black stylists, having black writers in the room makes a difference. Having black stylists in the room makes a difference. All of these things make a difference. And in this case with this young lady, I think we're missing an opportunity to really hold H&M to task. Because like I said, black people don't have ponytails. We have puffs. This young lady has a little struggle puff on top of her head. There are hairs that are sticking out on the sides. And I can imagine that there was some Caucasian person who was director of this shoot who was like, oh, and H&M came out and said that they like the kids to be kids, that they come in from after school looking like, you know, like they have played all day. And I'm like, come on now. With all the hairstyles, with all of the beautiful little brown girl hairstyles that we have out there with the bobbles and the bobos and all this other stuff, and you know what? The thing about it is there's some hair that needs more maintenance than other people's hair. Our hair needs a different type of maintenance. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's like I heard people saying, oh, because these Caucasian girls have their hair up and they have the little flyaways hanging down. I'm sorry. Hair texture does matter. It's like, when I say it matters, it's like anything matters. Like the way that you treat fleece and the way that you treat satin or silk or denim is going to be different. You know, fleece can attract pills on it, you know, where it becomes linty, etc. When you're dealing with African hair, remember, or Negroid hair, remember we have a coil pattern that coils ovally. So the issue isn't that she has 4C hair. The issue is that her hair needs a different type of maintenance, and that matters. Because for those of us who have Caucasian friends or mixed family members, etc., we know that Caucasian hair is not always wispy. It gets tangled, it gets matted. Anybody who has, you know, we talk about, oh, the superiority of the big curls, etc., in the natural movement. But those of us who have mixed children in our family whose mothers are non-black, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with, or even though there's so many of us that'll be like, oh, I wish I had the big curls, but then these women are like, I don't know what to do. I actually saw one young lady who had locks inside of her hair because her mother just didn't know how to brush it. She was Japanese, and she was just so far removed and so frustrated, even though all she needed was some pink oil moisturizer in that little girl's head and everything would have been a-okay. But for her, it was a lot to manage and a lot to handle. And you'd be surprised at what it is that you see going on behind the scenes on some of these sets. You know, not only that, like some of it is deliberate. Like if you look at these fashion shows and what some of the black models are wearing compared to what some of the white models are wearing, there is racism, there's racial insensitivity, and there's also racial intolerance in many industries, and especially in an industry where the European standard is the standard of beauty, and so they're selling a certain aesthetic. And so those who are closest to the European features get treated a certain way, and those furthest from it get treated a certain way too, get dressed in different types of ways. Like this little girl, like all of us know that when your hair is short, because like this little girl, she was posed in other pictures where her hair was in a cute TWA, which is a teeny weeny afro for those of you who don't know, and she's looking gorgeous, she's looking happy, she's looking wonderful. What I can imagine happened is that some white stylist decided that they were going to put her hair up in a ponytail, and black people don't have ponytails. I'm telling you, we have puffs, right? And so we who have puffs, you know that when you have a struggle puff going on, that you get yourself a piece of stocking, and when you're pulling it around, you stop right at the point where your puff is the size that you want it to be. You don't pull it all the way back until you have this scrawny little rabbit tail going on back there. You know what I'm saying? And then listen, on top of all of that, there were a lot of people who had to approve this picture before this picture got sent to press. A lot of people approved this, and I'm telling you from a person who worked behind the scenes. I worked as a graphic designer for many years. And I had like this gig at this catalog, and my whole entire job the whole day long was to airbrush people's hair to being even on both sides, airbrush people's clothing to having no wrinkles and all of this stuff. There were people who could have airbrushed this into a round little puff. There were people who could have, you know what I mean? And I think that when we absolve H&M of the culpability, when we say things like, oh, the other little girls had messy buns, so she had a messy bun too. No, there's a difference, you know, because you didn't see any little girls up there with matted hair, with hair looking crazy, with hair fly away all over the place, like some Caucasian girls can have. We didn't see that. But this little girl here, instead, there was nobody on that set to advocate for her and to be able to get her the assistance that she needs. And I think that we need to stop putting the culpability on us, and we really need to hold H&M responsible. You know, last year when they had that coolest monkey in the jungle sweatshirt debacle, you know, I had my own issues with that last year, but it wasn't until I saw these images this year that I decided that, nah, H&M has a real problem with diversity and inclusion and representation behind the scenes, because this right here, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. We can't sit here and say that hair doesn't matter, that hairstyle doesn't matter, that keptness doesn't matter. Like if you look at this guy before and after, he is saying that these are the same people you know how women have our makeup and you can't trust it? But look at this man and how grooming made all the difference in the world for him. He said that the barber said that the man went from looking like he smoked crack to looking like he's looking like he sell it. And all he did was get a shape up, trim his beard, and get a fade. You know what I'm saying? Hairstyles matter. They matter. And this person says, H&M ad, I love it, and I wish I saw images of me, a beautiful little girl, being a beautiful little girl when I was her age. I understand your criticism, but beneath that criticism, is there a knee-jerk reaction to reject natural black baby hairs? Her hair in the state it was photographed is beautiful. I've been natural way before it was cool, and your criticism cuts deeply. Our beauty, and by our, I mean women, girls, and black females, is not dependent on expensive products and glam squads. We are beautiful because we are. And yes, I know this is $1 million campaign ad, but it's also an impactful statement about true beauty. I hope you can see that too. And I hope people can see that we don't have issues with her quote unquote baby hairs, because the hairs that are not pulled into the bun are not baby hairs. We know what baby hairs are, the little fine hairs that grow out in the front. Did you take a little toothbrush and some gel and do your little Superman curls and all that other stuff on it? We know what baby hairs are. This is not an issue of baby hairs or expensive products, because when you look through the catalogs of the ancestors, do you see the ancestors with struggle buns on their head? Do you see them with their hair looking any kind of way? I'm saying there are many beautiful styles that we as black women, look, we are innovators when it comes to style. Yet here we have this young black girl, and we can't really talk about the truth of what's going on here, and miss this opportunity for somebody with some black sense to be there on the doggone photo shoot to be like, nah, my man. Let me bring this young lady here with a little boar's head brush or whatever it is they're using behind the scene, the little boar's bristle brush, and just brush it up just a little bit. Expensive. All you need is a spray bottle of water. That's all your little sis. And then the brush up and get your little hose and pull it back up into a little puff, and all is good. If you want to get some gel on the baby hairs, that's a whole other extra step. But at least let's get her hair groomed, because like I said, with 4C coily hair, it will coil around one another. Does that mean that because a Caucasian hair who has straight hair is not going to coil around itself, that we're just going to leave black hair coiled up in patterns that are separating from itself on the side, and just be like, oh yes, oh this is yeah, if she's coming home from school and all this other stuff, that's one thing. But what black mother's gonna send her child out to a photo shoot like this? For real though, for real. Vernon Francis says, it's essential that we have a conversation about this photograph from H&M Kids campaign. And then he goes on about how he doesn't really know what was going behind the scenes. And he says, this beautiful young girl's kinky hair appears to have very little to no attention, yet all her counterparts have clearly sat in front of someone who was more than capable of styling other hair textures. My heart breaks imagining yet another girl from my community sitting in front of a mirror being ignored by the team around her, left to her own devices because someone didn't know how to handle her texture. And if that's not bad enough, prior to this campaign appearing, this photograph will have been seen and approved by countless quote-unquote professionals, let's say conservatively 50 people. It's breathtaking to me that not one person looked at this shot and had the same reaction that the internet seems to be feeling since the campaign broke. That is an issue. We must do better. Our girls, our young women deserve better. Let this be a moment of learning. Education is key. Hashtag we have to do better. And then he goes on to Black Girl Magic and other hashtags. That was Vernon Francis, and I'm glad that he said it. It's like people who work in the industry know that this is something deliberate, that there are a lot of people who had to approve not only her look, her hair, her style, but then also to approve it from pre-production, production, and post-production. I'm telling you, I sat in a room with other graphic artists who work for a catalog, and all we did all day was making sure that people's hair was right, that the clothes were right, no wrinkles, that left side of the body was symmetrical to the right side, that the hair, that the arms, that all of that. That's what we did all day long, and we were paid to do that. And so, and I mean, if you look at this picture right here, it's even more telling that this girl was neglected. This is not, and when I say that she has a struggle bond and all of that, this is a beautiful young lady. As you see, she's killing it, and she's fierce. She got that black girl magic going on, and I love what it is that she's doing. What I'm talking about is holding H&M and other companies like this culpable and holding them responsible for having a multicultural team to be able to handle people of different cultures behind the scenes. And there are people who feel like we're dragging and criticizing the girl like she can't help. No, this is a child. She is not responsible for how she looked on that set. The stylists, the hair people, the hair and makeup, the graphic artists afterwards, the people who directed this shoot, and the production people who coordinated afterwards, they are responsible. They're responsible for not having somebody on deck to be able to take care of her hair, to make sure that she was representing her most groomed self, to make her look like the same way that she would look if her mother were taking her out, or the way her mother would send her out. And my heart breaks that there was nobody advocating for this child on the set. And some people compare this to the Gabby Douglas situation, where Gabby's hair was looking in between, whatever it was in between. When, I mean, that's a young lady who is grown enough to do her own hair. She's an athlete working and doing her thing on the ground. That's a whole different story of why people reacted that way to that young lady's hair, and I don't get that personally. In this situation, this is a whole other story. We're talking about teams of people whose sole job is to make sure that this shoot goes the way the director of the shoot wants it to go. And so that's my whole entire comment right there. I want to hear your thoughts below. I want to hear what it is that you have to say, because I feel like we're not really speaking up and having the tough conversation about the fact that the girl's hair was not groomed, and that there were a lot of people who approved it looking this way. And on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Make sure that you come over to my website, TonyaTKO.com, where you can order your affirmations journal, your self-love affirmations workbook, and rewrite your subconscious programming for self-love. You can also join the mailing list and get a free copy of the Relax MP3. And I will see you in the next video. I want to hear all of your thoughts below, yay and nay. Look, if you want to fight, I'm willing to fight for this. If you agree, I'm willing to give you high fives in the comments, because I agree too. If you disagree, please state why. And let's go on from there. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself is acknowledging when something is awry.